Look everyone, I found a ride. Giant freaking Vinci, let's go. Wait, I get like, there we go. Wait. Well, you know a car is upgraded when it's got a black ice air freshener in here. All right, so Peter here says I have to floor it to start the car. So yeah, let's please? Please? Be alive. Oh, no! Oh, I know. That? No!
It's the one with the green dot.
Oh, I didn't even.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be a long review. God. Oh, geez. Oh, it died on me. Oh, no power steering. Oh, come on. Oh, classic cars. It's always an experience. I should just do this in the parking lot because I suck at driving this thing already. What's up, you guys? Dave here once again for another video review, and today we are in a 1966 Ford Galaxie. The Ford Galaxie spelled with an IE for some reason. I don't know why they spelled it that way. It's just kind of weird to me. Is an interesting car because it was the competitor of the Chevy Impala. It's a huge car. It's extremely long, has a ton of character, and it really does match the era, 100%. You know you're in this era because of the blue colored interior. It very much reminds me of the Edsel Ranger I drove a few years ago. The Edsel Ranger, in comparison, was from the 50s, and it was 3 on the tree. This is an automatic transmission, so already moving a little bit farther along. The steering wheel is absolutely huge, but that's just for leverage, but we do have power steering, which is very pleasant. The car has a 352 in it. It has a mild cam from Summit, and also has a Summit carburetor, so it's a 4-barreled carburetor. Now, if you ask me if I know much about carburetors, I don't. I'll be completely honest with you. So whenever I do drive a carbureted car, it's an absolute pleasure because it's just a different experience. However, Peter is from New York, and by New York, I don't mean the city. He's from about 40 minutes away from Niagara Falls. So he drove 14 hours in this Galaxie to let me drive his Galaxie. And it just died on me. So my point about that is that with the carburetors and everything, with the elevation change, you gotta account for that. Carburetors can be very finicky creatures if it's not set at the right elevation. Now with ECUs and computers and all these systems preventing that, it's not a big deal anymore. But with this, it's just mechanical. Everything's mechanical and you have to get it right. If you don't get it right, it doesn't work. That's simple. So a lot of people ask me, why don't I do a lot of classic cars? And I think a big part of it is that the youth don't know about it as much. And with this channel being primarily youth, they just don't care as much. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think it should be taken into consideration where we came from and what kind of cars were before us. And that's why I love driving classic cars, because it's always an experience, a very different experience, but an experience. It's kind of like those Datsuns I did in California or the Edsel Ranger, like I said. It is a completely different thing than going fast. But you're going slow in these cars, and it's fun because it was just built to cruise. I mean, he cruised 14 hours in this thing. It's obviously good at it. Peter has had this car since he was 14 years old. Him and his dad have worked on it together. They rebuilt the motor. They did a bunch of stuff together. They even painted this car this blue. This is actually a Tractor Supply color. This is a Ford Tractor Blue that they sprayed with a gun in their driveway together. And I think that's an awesome story. Another thing too I noticed was the tire setup on this. It's a very classic tire setup, but I was scared at first. I was like, are these the original tires? He was like, oh no, dude, no, just simple Goodyears. I was like, oh, thank God. Because some people who collect cars are kind of purist about that. They'll be like, no, I want the original tires on from the factory. And I'm like, you're stupid. No offense. That is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Tires accounts for so many accidents and crashes, especially a classic car. You gotta have good tires on it. No doubt about it. It's a no-brainer. But when you're driving the Galaxie around, you just smell the gasoline and everything and the emissions, but it just adds to it, you know? It makes a really nice sound, that really throaty old school muscle car sound, even though it's really not a muscle car. The Galaxie came with a bunch of different engine options. It came with an inline 6, it came with the 352, and also, oh my god, boat. It also, in some models, came with a 7-liter V8, so it was making over 300 horsepower, and back then, that was a huge deal. But at the same time, you're throwing around this giant freaking car. When you turn the wheel, even a little bit, you get thrown everywhere. Like, another thing too is the dash, I think, was a little worn out. So his dad was like, hey, I think we have some carpet that we can match the color of the car. And they just put it on the dash. It actually suits the car. I was like, is that part of the car? Did you do that yourself? He was like, oh yeah, we just threw it on there. But with the suspension setup on this, it's essentially a coil spring, and it used to be a leaf spring system. So this is pretty cool that they use coil springs on this car back then. This car, for its time though, had to have been mind-blowingly nice. I mean, the interior is really roomy. You could fit a big family in this car. You'll just be shoulder to shoulder, and the seats can move up and back. But you know what was funny? As an option on this car, the parking brake light was an option, and so was the radio, an AM/FM radio. You have a very simple analog clock. You have your wiper system right here. You got your lights. He also has a oil pressure gauge hooked up right here, and an aftermarket deck that he made work by Pioneer. Oh God. Oh yeah, America. What's funny is, once Peter finally got here to Georgia, he calls me and goes, dude, I hate to say it, my car shut off. I'm like, oh no! So we thought his car had broken down, and so I came and I was gonna try and help him out and like rescue him essentially. But you know, we got there, started right back up. It was just a loose connection. So after all that, for this car to go 14 hours, props to you. That takes some serious cojones. That's amazing. But it's just funny because this Ford Tractor Blue looks like it's a descendant of the Grabber Blue that's on my Mustang. It's just cool kind of seeing the before and after of Ford's history and all that good stuff. When you drive something like this, you have to be so aware of your surroundings. You have to be so aware of how long the hood is, how long the trunk is. Can you park it in a tight space? And since it's so loose, you kind of don't have a lot of driver feedback. Is it 3 on the tree? I think 3 on the tree is a lot of fun, like as a transmission, but I'm terrible at it. I just need more practice at it. So when I saw that he was gonna bring this down, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna embarrass myself again. But nope, automatic, very smooth automatic transmission. I'm very shocked. It's this weird middle ground when it comes to the interiors of the past. I go, the colored interiors, I really love. I think a part of that has been lost in car community. Yeah, sometimes you can really screw that up. Do I think that the blue interior of this car suits this car? I really think it does. But this kind of interior suit a car, a modern car today when it comes to the color? I don't think so. I really don't. Even though I think that's kind of unfortunate because cars from the 50s and 60s and 70s had so much personality, you know, and now everything just has the generic tan or black leather interior. Less is more. Totally get that, but I just love how the door panels and the seats and the dash and everything's just blue. It's crazy. Not because I'm that dude in blue, by the way. Just any color, if it's red interior, etc. The Galaxie is an interesting look to it. I mean, brakes are good. It actually stops. This is the first classic car that I've driven with decent brakes, and actually out of all the classic cars I've driven, this is probably the easiest one by far. It's just meant to get you places and be roomy and comfortable, and it is comfortable. It is weird being in a car again that doesn't have shoulder belts. It's only the lap belt, so just right ahead, right there. Ow. Okay, brake, okay. Okay, so it's not so much the brakes that's scary, it's the handling. There is no handling. It's zero. It's easy to point where to go, but you have to remember you have that transition. I love that saying where people go, everyone should own at least one classic car, and I get it. I understand it, because there's just nothing like it. You know, it's just something that you have nothing to prove, you don't need to be faster than everybody else, and people love seeing classic cars. It's like a light-hearted kind of car. When you see something that's old and antique-ish and isn't around anymore, you stick out from the crowd, much more than a lot of really cool sports cars today. I understand why Peter has this love for this car. I totally understand it. The looks of the Galaxie is a pretty cool looking car, the taillights and everything. The front grille is very Impala-like, very, very Impala-like. But this is the same era as the Mustang. So when the Mustang came out, this thing blew it out of the water. Like, the Galaxie convertible sold very well. However, the Mustang sold it like 2 to 1, I believe. So it was a huge drawback for the Galaxie, but Ford needed the Mustang in order to save its company. Oh God, I have to do a U-turn with this yacht. Let's see how this does. Once it gets up to speed, it's like driving on a cloud. I totally get why they can do the road trip. It's more of those, like, it's more of that, are you gonna make it kind of things. Another thing I just noticed when I was changing lanes, there's no passenger mirror. So on that note, guys, what do you guys think about the Ford Galaxie? I absolutely enjoyed driving the Ford Galaxie. It drives smoother than some modern cars nowadays. It's really great. It's a lot of fun. You make everybody's day when you're driving around. What more do you need? Yeah, Ford Galaxie, forgotten car. I don't think it should be a forgotten car. It's fantastic to drive around. It's very smooth, and you have nothing to prove. I didn't mean to rhyme. I know, I got mad rhymes. Please don't take that seriously. I know, I suck.